Never be satisfied until you've done all you can do, and until then, you surround yourself with people that say, hey, you can do more. I believe in you. You can do more. And don't listen to everybody that's around you patting you on the back saying you've done enough.
You're listening to the Kristof Lewis Podcast, a podcast where I have conversations with inspirational people. My name is Chris, but my family calls me Kristof. My goal is to have as many conversations as possible with people who have forged their own path by pursuing their dreams, making them a reality, all the while emitting positivity and sharing this knowledge with others. I seek these people out and share this information with you, proving to the world that you can do what makes you happy and do what you want for a living while being a good human being. We'll talk about careers, but we'll also cover any story that inspires. Let's do this while helping each other. Thanks for listening. I'm happy you're here. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Kristof Lewis Podcast. This is conversation number 58, and I'm your host, Kristof Lewis. I'm so excited for today. I've been humbled and absolutely honored to have my guest today. He's a New York Times bestselling author, a real estate expert, a motivational speaker, and a sales training expert, to say the least. In his own words, he gets a lot of flack for who he is today because he just says what he wants, but that's why I wanted him on here, because he's had an insane career. He's seen mass amounts of success, but as a child, he experienced a lot of hardship. He was a drug addict, wound up in rehab. He turned his life around, and at 60 years old, he's going as hard as ever. So love him or hate him, he has no intention of stopping anytime soon. You can find him and all of these other incredible podcasts at www.kristoflewis.com, as well as getting a hold of me. So without further ado, welcome to the Kristof Lewis Podcast.
Yeah, hey, thank you so much for having me, brother, man.
Yeah, I've been following you for years. You've been in the spotlight for a long time, but what I'm all about is career change, career transitions, and yours to me is one of the most absurd, wild. You've started from so little and you've had a wild background. Many of my own personal goals have been constructed off the 10X rule. I know that you went from being in debt, unemployable, to $1 billion worth of real estate in 4 companies, and now you're doing like $150 million this year alone. You know, people see this right now, but they don't see where people have come. And I know you've had a very difficult background with your father passing away when you were young, your brother passing away, and all of these things that a lot of people would stop. But what kept you going? Like, help people wrap their heads around how this was even possible for you.
Look, I am so far, I am so lucky, so fortunate, so blessed. I have gotten so much further, Kristof, than anything I ever imagined or dreamed. Like, I don't think people like, I know a lot of the heat I get, right? Because I come off the wrong way, and I got a big mouth, and I say whatever I want to say most of the time, But dude, I am so far ahead of where I was just having a conversation with our COO here, and about a person wants to do something here that costs X dollars to go do this. And I'm like, look, that department's not viable. And this person's very important to the organization, right? So, no, not you. And it's very, very important. It's a very touchy situation, right?
Sure.
And they're like, well, yeah, it's an important person. They need to go do this. And I'm like, it's not viable. And the only reason this person's asking me to go do this right now is because I put all this money together.
Sure.
Like I bought a watch today. I got this watch today. Dude, this watch costs more than a Lamborghini costs. It's stupid. The whole thing is into the land of ridiculous. Now, that's only because, man, I paid the price. Like, I'm extremely disciplined. Like what you said, like I have paid the price over and over and over and over again to a default. So disciplined. When my buddies were buying Lamborghinis in their 40s, I didn't do it.
There you go.
And they were buying condos and going on trips and seeing the world and sitting in VIP at the Super Bowl. I wasn't doing any of that shit, dude. I never did any of it. When I was 25 years old, I quit using drugs and alcohol. I had a problem with drugs.
Absolutely,
and I told myself, I'm not going to drink alcohol until I'm 50 years old, and only unless I'm financially set. Like, have to be. I'm not going to drink ever again. Definitely not going to use drugs, because no matter what, but I'm not going to use alcohol again until I am set. And I said, okay, at least 50 years old or unless I'm set financially. I was 51 before I had a glass of champagne. I was 45 before I had a German car. I was my first watch was a Rolex, and it was $900, and I was 40 years old.
Sure.
I could have bought. I've always wanted to buy a Rolls Royce. It's been my dream car for years. I bought one when I was. I could have bought one when I was 35. I didn't buy one until I was 50 because I was like, dude, a Rolls Royce on a 40-year-old is wrong.
Yeah.
I've had all these ideas, right? And some of them have been completely wrong. Discipline to a default, a bit of a scarcity mentality, frankly.
Absolutely. I would say so. That it sounds like it. And then constantly, hitting all those rock bottoms that I've heard you talk about. When you thought you hit rock bottom, then the bottom fell out and you went even lower. And then growing up as you did and, having that scarcity mentality. And I think a lot of people, when they get all that money you described, if you had the opportunity to do that at 40, I think a lot of people would act on that. But you chose not to. And do you think that's because it was rooted from how you grew up as a child, having that scarcity mentality that you just described?
Well, I think two things. One, no, I think some of it's common sense. Like, I've seen so many people go broke.
It's not common at all, though, right? I mean, you said your friends were doing it. You knew people that were doing it.
I know more people that have made it and gone broke than made it and kept it.
That's a good point.
Like if I ask a person, hey, man, tell me somebody that made it and busted, and tell me somebody that made it and kept it. Like, I guarantee you the list comes easier. Mike Tyson, Mayweather will probably bust out, maybe not, but it looks like it could end up like that. How many guys, man? Mike Tyson put together, I don't know, $800 million. Michael Jackson, dude, was broke when he died. His death resurrected his finances. So it's crazy to see how many people produce fortunes and then either because they overspent, and which is a form of out ethics, by the way. Somebody that spends more than they make is a criminal.
Absolutely.
To the same degree that somebody would steal something that's not theirs. When you're spending something that's not, that you haven't made or you can't afford, it is a form of thievery. So that's the first part of that answer. The second part is, I couldn't spend the money, bro, because I invested all my free cash in real estate. So when you buy, I had $1 million when I was 33 or 34 years old. I didn't spend any of it, none of it. I put all of it in 3 real estate deals.
So you almost tied your hands you couldn't spend the money because you didn't have the money because you immediately moved the money into investments.
We would go to dinner. Okay, and my buddy Dale, who was broke, we would be like, "Who's paying for dinner, bro?" And he's like, "Dude, come on, I don't have any money. I'm out of work." I'm like, "Yeah, well, I don't have any money either." He's like, "Yeah, but you got all the real estate." I'm like, "Yeah." They don't take real estate at the soup store.
The last time we checked.
So I'm like, bro, I don't have any money. Real estate people are notorious for never having cash because their money's invested in a real asset, which by the way, is a great lesson for people.
Sure.
You never want to be liquid. You don't want to be liquid. If you really want financial freedom, don't be liquid. Meaning liquidity, money, liquid, kind of like it sounds. It wants to move around, sure. Right? And Wall Street wants you to be liquid because they know if you're liquid, they can get it. It's the same reason a casino won't let you play with cash. I don't know if you know this, but when you go to a casino today, anywhere in Vegas, they're not letting you play with this anymore because they know that you have an attachment to the dollar. You have a bigger attachment to dollars than you do to chips.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So what they do is the first thing they do is they convert your cash to little clay chips with their names on it the whole time selling you. Mandalay, Mandalay, Mandalay. It doesn't say your name on there, right? It says Mandalay. It doesn't say Cardone's name. It doesn't say Kristof. It says Mandalay. Come back to Mandalay. Steve Wynn. So the psychological effect is,
sure.
I'm just playing with chips now. I mean, really, you've already surrendered your money. So what I did was I've studied wealthy people for most of my life. Okay, I basically take this worthless and put it into something that's illiquid, and it can't be lost, it can't be stolen. You can't burn down the whole portfolio. You can burn down one unit, but you can't burn down all 6,000 at one time.
Absolutely. Now, so when is the right time, though? You said you waited till you were 50, 51 to buy the vehicle. But people are looking at you. I see too many people are like, I want it now, and that's the mentality that's not getting them to what you've just described right there. But for you personally, for Mr. Grant Cardone, when did you decide that now is the right time to buy that? It's probably different for everybody, but when was that time for you?
Look, I think you should have some targets, right? I mean, I read something recently. If you can't buy it twice, don't buy it. That's kind of cool. This watch that I got on, there's I don't know, 1,500 of them on the planet. It's a 40th anniversary. They're not going to make this watch again. It's Patek. I could probably buy 20 of these and pay cash. But I bought one of them and I'm second guessing it. I'm like, God damn, I don't know. That was stupid, man. Man, I sure hope it keeps going up in value,
But you're also still working as hard as you ever were, if not more.
Great. Every day I'm on a mission to stay viable. Okay, so it's like
it's not like you reached that point, you bought some things, and then you're like, all right, I've made it, I'm done. Because I know I've heard you say, I mean, more times than I can count, that it's your job that keeps you going. Like, I know me personally, like, if I'm not working towards something, or like this podcast for me is my life. I love it. I have a day job, but I mean, I left early for that to do this today. I love doing this, and I'd much rather do this. And this is what gives me my meaning in life and purpose. And something else that I want to get into, helping other people. Yeah. But I know, like, you are like me in that sense of like constantly working gives you that fulfillment you need in life. And I know that that's part of the reason why you're able to still make these kind of purchases.
Yeah. And look, these doing what I'm doing today. I mean, you're making a good point. Like, somebody said, how do you find time for this stuff? I'm not being paid to do this podcast.
You don't find time. No, you don't find the time. You make the time, in my opinion.
Yeah, I make the time, and I am being paid, okay? I'm being paid. You're doing me a great service by introducing me to your audience. You're doing me a great service by us just having that communication and getting to know each other.
Thank you.
And by me getting more clarity on some of the questions you're asking me, it's almost therapeutic because I get to like, hey, when is the right time,
Absolutely.
And should somebody do something? So I don't know the answer to that question. I know that at some point, if you put enough time together, discipline for long enough, if you work hard enough, and then use the money to do the right things over a long period of time, you're going to be shocked at the amount of financial freedom available.
No, I think that's a phenomenal question. And it, like we were saying, it leads right into the next thing I wanted to talk to you about, you helping people on an absolutely massive scale. And there's, like you said, a plethora of people that just have a little bit of money and they're just spending it and they're just thinking about them. It's all me. But what sets you apart? Like, why do you choose to help people on such a massive scale throughout your, ton of books that you've written, through your social media, everything that you do? Why do you choose to spend so much of your time and so much of your money helping other people?
Because it works. I mean, helping people works. So helping people is a deposit into the spiritual bank. I get an immediate return on it. It's not like some karmic thing. I get an immediate return by doing this.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I get immediate clarity. I get as long as I'm not on a rote. Like, I know guys that do 200 interviews a year, and it's just the same questions. They just want to get through them. I know guys in the movie business, and it's like, after a while, you're like, just like, okay, get on with it, right? But with what we do, I never know what the questions are going to be, or who the interviewer, or your angle, or so it's interesting to me. I don't think about it as giving back first. I think about it as I'm doing my life, and helping others has always helped me. The books are for me. I write the books for me first. When I was 25, I was going to Narcotics Anonymous meetings. I was going to those meetings for me, dude. But when I went, I helped someone else just by being there.
No, you're right.
By being sober, by not using a drug that day, I helped other people. I gave inspiration to other people. And the guy that put 30 days together gave inspiration to me. Today, when other people are successful, when I see a guy like Elon Musk fighting the SEC, fucking, I'm inspired, dude.
Hell yeah, that guy's the people's champs right there as well. And it's like, it's therapeutic.
Like, I want to fight the SEC too, man.
Because when you face that resistance, you're like, you're bound to be doing something right. If something on a massive scale is pushing back, you're like, all right, I'm headed in the right damn direction right now. And like you said, it's so therapeutic all the way back from your late teens to your early 20s, all the way up into rehab, where it's therapeutic being able to do that stuff for yourself. And now giving back, I know for a fact, everybody that I reach through this, it's therapeutic as well. And I say it, yeah, this is recorded and people listen to it, and I listen to it as well as I would look at, footage of a game. But at the same time, when I'm saying it right now and how you were saying it challenges yourself. Why do I feel this way? You have to get it out. You can't just keep it in and think these thoughts in your head, but talking to somebody and being able to articulate it out loud is completely different than I think thinking about things within your own head.
Yeah, totally agree.
No, absolutely. I'm a huge advocate. Like, we talk about careers a lot on this podcast, but I know, you went to high school, college, all of these things as well that, personally me, I'm a college dropout and I hated formal education. Like, there's no other way to talk about it. But again, in my mid-20s, I was 25. I specifically remember. I found podcasts. I found books like yours. Found all of these things. I'm 31 now, so for about 6 years, I've just had this enlightenment. Did your schooling feel anything remotely to what you're doing right now? Or is it a combination between college and formal education and then self-education? Because I know there is just a ton of this stuff that you do and that people like you do that just you can't find in school. But I want to know, was it school, was it self-education, or was it a little bit of both?
Oh, school contributed nothing. I mean, I would love to give school credit for something. I would love for all the teachers and principals out there and all the people that have spent money, the government that's raised $800 billion a year from taxpayers to put schools in place. I would love to be able to say, what am I? I'm 60 years old. The 50 years, 60 years that 60 times 800 billion is what? How much money is that? 4.8 trillion has been raised for school systems in America. I would love all the tens of thousands, millions of teachers and their salaries. I would love to say that schools contributed to my success. I'd like to give them credit for some percentage. Dude, I just can't do it.
Yeah, I felt like my time was wasted personally. I mean, I don't know about yourself, but I wish I had this mentality. I wish I had books to read like yours, all the other, 100 books that behind me. I wish I had that stuff. I wish I knew about it.
Yeah, but those books were around. You could have read those books. You just didn't, whoever was around you didn't say, hey, why don't you try this?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting at as well. In the formal education, you said, you wish you could contribute some of that or attribute to some of that. And to me, I wish I had people like that in my life earlier that was kind of opening up my eyes to say, hey, this is another way to do all this stuff too. Like, it was so ingrained into our heads, like this is the only way that you can be successful, to go to college, to do this, to do that, continue these education constantly. And that was not what did it for me.
Yeah, it's hey, look, it's not something that used to be. It's happening right now. It's called higher education. The way they pitch it, $1.5 trillion in debt. I was listening to Bernie Sanders last night talk about everyone deserves to go to college. And I'm like, dude, not only do they not deserve, people should not go there. Most people should not be going to college. The fact that politicians fight for this because we're telling other demographics that school is the way. School is going to get you a better job. Most of these jobs won't even be around by the time you finish school.
Well, people are changing, and also it's same with what you just said, and people are changing careers so many times throughout their life. I mean, I just heard a statistic. It's like 11 to 15 times is what somebody changes careers in their lifetime now. That's absurd to me.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you bring average to another industry. You find out it don't work that industry either. You got to bring it to another. You just keep looking for another place to be average. Dude, no place pays average.
Absolutely not. So, I kind of brought it up in the beginning of our conversation here about all the struggle you've been through, built who you are today. So your career and your life just in general is just littered with struggle. Is there maybe a defining moment, a defining struggle that really kind of tipped you over to the edge and to kind of forged who you are today? Is there just accumulation?
I saw something on Instagram this morning. A lady says, success, what is it, man? It's like success is the cause of laziness. I'm like, dude, success don't make me lazy. Success inspires me to fly.
Yeah.
I have learned more from being successful than my obstacles. Like, it's not the obstacles, the loss of my dad, the loss of my brother. I have learned more from being successful, from winning, than from losing.
So that's super interesting because, I feel like today how social media is, that's the exact opposite of what I would say. And it's funny because I think before off camera, you were saying something like, I just, I'm the kind of guy, I'm just going to say what I want, and I get kind of a bad rap for that. But I think that's going against the grain. You have a lot to learn from your successes, but why do you attribute that to that as well? I mean, you say you probably learn from your failures as well, but you learn more from your successes because you knew what's doing right, so just keep on doing it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, of course I learn from my failures, but when something doesn't work, I look at, well, why didn't it work? Oh, okay, change it. Don't like
dwell on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go back and, I would rather learn from other people's failures, frankly. I don't want to learn from my own. I want to learn from their failures. Look at Bernie Madoff. That's somebody to learn from. Don't people that got rich and blew it. That's something to learn from. And then once you study a guy like, not what these people say, by the way. You can't, don't listen to what people say. See what people do.
Absolutely.
Because, Warren Buffett will tell you he'll tell you that investing in stocks is a good thing for people. He's not buying them. He's buying companies.
Sure.
And the company that a regular everyday family can buy is an apartment building. You can't go out and buy Coca-Cola, but you can buy a 10 or 20% position in an apartment deal. So, yeah, I learned from my failures, but what I want to do is I want to admit that there was a failure. Yeah. Pick the wrong person. Most of the time it's about people. I picked the wrong person to do business with. I thought there was going to be a shortcut here. I thought they were going to give me a lift quick. And then I got in the wrong car with the wrong person. Get out.
Yeah.
Okay, when you make a bad investment, sell it. Get your money back. Get some portion of your money back. Consider that a gain and move on and find the right thing to do. A lot of people, what they do is they fail. They meditate on the failure, and then what they should have done is not spend time in meditation. They should have made another move.
Yeah, and it kind of almost like if you're meditating on your failures, then you're almost manifesting your failures because you're dwelling on it so long. And it kind of circles back to what we were talking about, self-education, in the manner of if you're doing all of these things, reading all of these books behind me, everything that you've done in your life, that's absolutely you're going to be learning from other people. Like you said, you want to learn from other people. I want to learn from other people. So if I'm reading, a book that you wrote, then I'm learning about all of these things that you share with me, what worked, what didn't work, and then I can apply that. So I don't have to fail maybe where you failed in some aspect. Why wouldn't I not? Like, I can look at you right now and see everything you've done, know all your failures, know everything about you. So why would I go out knowingly and go to repeat all of that? I think
Look, let's keep it real, all right? Nobody knows you because you're a failure. People don't know you, and they don't talk about you until you succeed. So, like, people know me today. When they say Grant Cardone, they're like, oh, wow, that's the real estate guy, right? That's the author guy. That's the speaker guy. Oh, he put 34,000 people in a conference for 3 days, and they paid him. He's the guy that bought the Gulfstream 550. They know me for what I've done, not for what I haven't done.
You're absolutely right. That's history. That's just exactly what it is.
Big mouth on Instagram. He's the guy that keeps popping up in my YouTube stream, right?
Speaking of, I was going to say, speaking of, congrats on your YouTube. I just literally maybe 30 minutes ago, you hit 1 million subscribers. That's no easy feat.
Took 14 years to do that, man.
YouTube is, I just started a year ago, but that is the hardest thing that I've had to build amongst podcasting, everything. So that is no small feat. What is one parting, you say a million things every single day, a million podcasts, interviews, you name it, all the time, decades. Is there something you can tell me right now and everybody else listening? What is one thing that Mr. Cardone has just been keeping secret?
I don't really have many secrets. I would tell people, everybody, what I tell myself all the time. Never be satisfied until you've done all you can do, and until then, you surround yourself with people that say, hey, you can do more. I believe in you. You can do more. And don't listen to everybody that's around you patting you on the back saying you've done enough. Where do you live, by the way?
I live right outside of Washington, D.C. Yeah, right west of D.C.
So, in D.C., you're going to have everybody tell you about, oh, my God, you're doing so good. You got 2 jobs. Take it easy. Enjoy the weekend. Dude, those people quit already. You need to get around guys like me to say, hey, you can do more. You can do it. You can do more. I would rather be lied that I can do more, lied to that I can do more than told the truth about I've done enough. Because it's just not true. Everybody can do more.
You're absolutely right. That's, oh my God. And I'm just happy you said that. It came up organically. I really wanted to see what you said there. Because another one of the many pillars that this podcast stands on is I wholeheartedly feel that people sell themselves short. Bar none. I've sold myself short. And like I started with the podcast, if you remember, a lot of my own personal goals have been formulated off of the 10X. Like, bar none, everything, the number of subscribers, everything I do. You know, didn't know you personally, had your book, formulated off of that, and boom, I'm definitely have a lot of wins. I mean, the amount of growth I've had in a year because of setting goals like that, I can tell you right now. And I'm going to end on that. What is the best way to find you? Instagram, website? What's something you want to talk about?
Whatever, wherever you like to be. If you just put in Grant Cardone, I'll pop up.
Perfect. Well, that's easy enough. Just punch in Grant Cardone on whatever you like, and that's how you can find this extraordinary gentleman. And Mr. Cardone, I am again once. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor, and I'm thankful.
Hey, look forward to meeting you in person at some point.
Absolutely.
Okay, brother. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great one. Bye-bye.